Hi, my name is Jordan Officer, and I'm going to talk some more with Brad Barr. Another thing that I hear you doing with the slide, and I don't know if it's like a direct influence or if it's something that just came naturally from you, but it reminds me of the Indian lap steel players, or, well, it's a different instrument, but they play it like a lap steel.
I saw an Indian musician, I think it was the old Club Soda, and he was playing, I think it's called the Chetravina, we'll have to look that up, and he was playing it flat down, and he'd made all his own instruments. He spent 20 minutes talking about his instrument and the things he learned. It is a traditional instrument, and that his teacher made him before he could play it. He had to learn to just sit and hold it. For like a year, he wasn't allowed to play it. He just had to learn how to sit and hold it. So I cannot, I refuse, or I won't. I can't do it this way.
Okay.
A pedal steel or a lap steel is just beyond me. I don't. The other thing I love is odd groupings of phrasing. I love getting myself in these sort of groups of clusters of rhythmic permutations.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, the first sort of articulations or
it's really
embellishments
cool.
I learned on that was the and then if it pentatonically tricky. Yeah.
That's cool to play with the third finger then. And slide with the one.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. I like that.
Trademark on that. Now you owe me one.
But that's actually something I want to ask you about, because I hear these influences and the Indian slide and the African music. So they're there, but it's really you. It's really your voice and your language. And I heard what you did with Baseko Kouyaté and with the Ngoni. And when you play those kinds of things on the slide, I can hear where it comes from. But I'm curious to know how you
keep it under one roof.
Like, because I play, I have a lot of influences that come from other cultures also, and I never wanted to imitate or try to be somebody that I'm not. I always really want to be me maybe it's not something that needs to be explained, but there's a process, like there's a way of taking influences, but also really being yourself. And you just went from playing something that sounded really Indian with the slide, and maybe you were showing me something that you had actually learned from that style of music, and then you picked up the regular guitar and played stuff that just sounds that we wouldn't necessarily connect to that, but is really part of your sound. And also I hear you play like little slides up a minor second like something. And that could be Arabic, it could be many things, and maybe it's just something that you, Brad Barr, find fun to do on a guitar because it's cool, you know. It doesn't have to necessarily come from somewhere, but it really seems like you have a really organic and natural way to be influenced and inspired and really be yourself.
That's one of the nicest things I could hope to hear from a fellow guitar player. I really appreciate that. Well, I can think of two things, which is one that I never really went at any one discipline of the guitar. I mean, jazz would have been probably the one I've spent the most time with, and the one I was inspired to be a bebop player. You know, Pat Martino, like, and
really,
that's probably the style that I spent the most time like going at.
That's really funny because I wouldn't have guessed that. But like I hear it, and I want to ask you about that too, because I hear like on your most recent album, on some songs with like voice leading, like
the internal kind of,
you know, stuff like that. Like there's real voice leading. There's like a real knowledge of voice leading and chord and harmony, but you don't strike me as somebody who comes from bebop or jazz.
Yeah, well, that's because I was never very good at it. So yeah, never having really committed to any one particular discipline, and also having that most of my playing happens with my brother. So it's in this world that we've kind of created together that is, after almost 40 years of playing together, has its own. There's its own kind of language.
So there's like a transformation that happens naturally just from the setting.
Anything I pick up, I could learn some, you know, a Bach piece, and then I'll go in, my brother, and I've got this thing under my fingers, and he starts playing something, and now I start adapting it to him. There's kind of always an immediate place to experiment and adapt any new technique I picked up, and I've never thought about that before until really just now, until you said that, gave me that nice compliment about how all the different approaches never feel like I'm going to Africa to play there, I'm going to India. It's like, I think it's just because I've always had an outlet to experiment with Andrew, to like actually drive at a thing with somebody, like almost like a live show, like we're going at it together, and I have to kind of be there with him. So anything I get under my fingers I have to immediately integrate it and figure out how to keep him going.
When I first saw you, and I've heard it ever since, like, but that's one of the things that struck me, is that there's like African music in there, and it's not something that you can just isolate one lick or one line or something, but there's just something in the way of playing. Is there anything in particular that you learned off records or from African musicians, or is it just a general sense of an aesthetic and a way of approaching a guitar? Like a guitar has a really cool role in a lot of different types of African music.
I'd say for me the biggest thing was the rhythmic stuff, and that actually all really came in Boston, going to Berkeley. The guitar department there could be kind of a cold place, like, and especially in the winter, and you see all these. You're in line, and there's you're lined up for your lesson in the hallway, and there's like 30 other guys with the same gig bag lined up behind you, and it could get kind of depressing. Yeah. But the drum department at Berkeley was a whole other scene. It was like underground. It had this warmth to it. The teachers that were rolling in were all like professional musicians playing in, like, Jamie Haddad was Andrew's main drum teacher, who's played in Paul Simon's band for the last like 20 years. Giovanni Hidalgo. They'd have all these musicians, all these different styles of music, different sort of traditions, and we got to know the teachers pretty well and would hang out after, and I ended up taking a lot of classes down there, like the world music class. Jimmy Kachulis was one of the great teachers. Like in one class, he showed us the bell line pattern, which was, you probably know this one. And it comes around there. Now what it is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 1. So it's on the, it starts, so the first part of a 6th phrase on the on beats and then switches to the off beats and then back. So that phrase, now you can check out the bass. Can be there. That's splitting into 3. So we're the bass, that line has this way of like, it stays the same, but like you hear it completely differently wherever that bass is happening.
That's really cool. Yeah,
it's basically the idea of 6/4, you know? Something like Give the Devil Back His Heart off that first record, which would probably be one of the sort of African influenced tunes from the show you would have seen at the Tulip, is based on that. So you got 4, 2, 3, 4. So you can phrase, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and you know, and it's right there in all the you know. So it's not like a totally new thing in the blues. But it was a revelation for me to see where that came from, having that like oh, it's that bell pattern. I'd say if anything is like a sort of characteristic of our language, it's that whole idea of that bell pattern, like what we drive at in that West African, and it finds its way into everything, really.
Yeah, I've been trying to fool around with different rhythmic subdivisions and subdividing triplets into different amounts. So like in 5, like you take triplets, like so that'd be a triplet.
Oh my God. That's hard.
But the thing about it, what blew me away with stuff like that, and I've always been really sort of meat and potatoes and rhythmically, you know, like swing, shuffle, whatever, like straight time. When I started working on these things, it felt so like essential and basic. Like it didn't feel like I guess my attitude about stuff like that was always that it was fancy stuff, you know?
Right.
But it feels like meat and potatoes. It feels like real important, deep stuff, and it doesn't feel far away from the blues either. Like
no, I quite the contrary. I think the blues came from all that stuff, all those, you know, that feel, like, you know. I've been trying to get for years. That kind of it works. Yeah, I've always been drawn to those jazz players. I thought Wes was always great at that, sneaking like figure out ways to get those polyrhythms in there, like just like it is an organization. It's an organization of triplets, really, or organizing your straight notes into 3s. Even the first one we all learned, the one off of Zeppelin 1, that would be taking your 4 notes and putting them in 3. 1, 2, 3. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the idea idea of taking out triplets now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then those triplets, they would come around every 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Something there that, which is a real typical kind of blues like. But I like to fool with that and do different.
Break it up. Want to just play blues for a minute, just because it's fun? I'll do some real straight comping. 1, 2, 3. get in? What was good? I right when I looked up, you like I couldn't tell like that tight little picking sound there. It was like you moved to.
Like the bass.
I guess that was it.
Yeah, I guess
that was it. That's what I mean, like about the being a physical player. You know, like I can tell you have that like there's all kinds of cool stuff. I love getting into stuff up here. You know, picking down the neck sometimes. I don't know if you ever get into that stuff.
Well, you know what? I played with an opera singer for a while, this guy Nils Brown, and he said, "Hey Jordan, I want to do a project with you, do these Neapolitan songs, and I'd like to have you on electric guitar with lots of reverb." And I thought, "You sure you want me to play like mandolin or something?" He said, "No, I have an idea in it," and we did it, and it was amazing. And I developed like a whole technique, like with reverb.
Control up there, maybe? Is that...
Yeah, and when you're close to here, you can even be like completely on the pickguard.
Right, because that same thing over here would feel like this guy's out of control.
It's crazy, yeah. But this, you can do it very softly. With the reverb, it felt like an orchestra of mandolins or something. Like it was a whole other way of playing guitar.
The quieter you played too, you could like the more open up.
And it you know it found its way into my regular playing, my jazz playing, my whatever, and
that thing that the bass thing, I was like, that's so smart because your hands know what to do. You know that. If you're getting down there, I think you were just kind of like, just to get that kind of.
Well, there's two things actually. There's palm muting, but there's also putting the finger up onto the fret a bit, so it doesn't ring as much.
Right.
And then, like ideally, when you want a big full tone, you put it below the fret. But if you get on top of the fret,
these are the things. These are the things that like you have to have. These like 2-hour conversations to get to, because it's not in any like guitar tutorial or thing. It's like your hands after so many years of playing, your hands know these tiny differences about the guitar. Something like an intuitive thing, and it's really effective. It's like it made my ears perk up.
Is there something like unusual or something that you're working with on these days? Something like a challenge or something weird that popped into your mind that you want to work out on the guitar and that's still in working stages? I'd be curious to see if there's anything like that.
Well, yeah, but you got to show me one of yours too, just to make it fair.
Okay.
Probably walking down the street, I was like, oh yeah, what if I took a descending chromatic scale, but displaced it the octaves so that instead of hearing you heard. And kind of like,
oh wow,
it's one of those things. If I'm like, if I want to launch a solo in some direction, sometimes this works where I'm just kind of like.
So you're going from, let's say you're an E to, and then it's a D sharp, but D sharp could be anywhere. So it could be there.
Yeah, the idea too is to not make it sound like this. Where it's like kind of identifiable. Like there's a.
Well, yeah, because if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known.
Right.
The way you did it before.
Yeah. So this one, I do open E, jump up to almost the octave.
And that's cool because, like, when you're going down chromatically all the way, like that, you're not thinking intervals the way, like let's say if you do this, they're two separate notes, but you can also kind of hear them together, you know.
Right.
But when you're doing just, it's such a clear
Linear direction.
linear, destination or whatever, that you don't think of the relationship between the two notes that are played one after the other.
Yeah,
but when you
true.
break it up, then you do, and you get all these minor ninths, which is like a super dissonant interval.
Yeah.
Because like even and a minor second too is dissonant, but you're not thinking minor seconds when you're just going down.
No, but that's what's actually happening.
But that is what's happening.
Yeah. And just to further show, I've never actually tried it going up. So.
Oh yeah.
And we would probably sit here for a while trying to figure that out. But
And then you get minor ninths doing that too.
yeah.
What that makes me think of, it's like it's similar to the. That's one of the things I've worked on. I'm trying to like get it into something that's not just an etude or an annoying thing for my wife or kids when I'm practicing it. But like I really feel like it's really effective when you take something like that. It has like not a harmony, but like it sits in a way that works, and yet it's really odd too at the same time. And so like your ear, you're challenged by it and you accept it at the same time, because it's odd, but there's an explanation whether you can figure it out what it is or not. You get it somewhere in your mind, and you're.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can relate that to a teacher I had who we were working on together was getting outside of a scale approach to improvising. And so his name was Hal Crook. He's a trombone player, and his approach was using cells. And he was a cell with 3 notes, so 2 intervals. Let's say a second and a fourth. So you're in C, so second up to D and a fourth above D to G there. That's now the thing that is grounding your improvisation. So if C is happening, if you kind of drone a C. It's D and G. That's moving between 2 different cells. This C, D, G, and C sharp, D sharp, and G sharp. Actually, between the 2, right next to each other, between those 2. Thing was like, as a listener and a player, you now have a new thing to ground you. You can kind of go way out, you know.
But that reminds me of something that I really would like to get comfortable with, and because I always love the way it sounds, is like what they call side slipping. You know, like where you're doing pentatonics, but you slip a half step above or below, you know.
I've been practicing my major scales that way, going. And the fun thing is you get that new articulation, really. I'd go on the slide, though. If you do it with a slide between each one. For
it's
me,
that rhythmic thing.
That's cool. Where you get these new articulations.
It's funny how you get lost, even as a major,
you'd
think
like
that
the
it
most
would
basic,
be
thing.
That's
yeah,
really cool.
Like when I practice my chromatic stuff. It's all about the slides and how that changes the articulation. It's that physical thing again. again, like where it's like, okay,
That's cool because in a way, like I've always somehow tried to do the opposite. Like I've always sort of strived for evenness of attack, but it's cool also to use the phrasing and the stylistic things that you get from.
Omitting a
And I'm also not somebody who does a lot of
legato things.
I'll tend to.
Well, I much prefer that sound to the other thing you did with the. The only time I do that stuff is with the open string, like the.
Or with a capo, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's the only time I do those kind of hammer-ons. Or.
I saw you even do tapping on one thing at one point, which is
Cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's almost like I hear it as like a
grace note, like on a bagpipe or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm Scottish. Barr's Scottish.
Oh yeah, I used to play bagpipes.
Really?
Yeah.
It's my dream. I do it with a pulling down.
Down?
Yeah. It's almost like a.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I really grip. I grab the thing here so I can. So it's
Here. Okay.
like a thumb on top, 2 fingers. These guys are squeezing too. Like so that thing is like not moving.
Cool. So I thought of something.
Okay.
Like there's things that I practice sometimes and I don't know why I practice.
Yeah.
Like I don't see necessarily where it's gonna fit. I like playing this, like that kind of fast arpeggio. So you start on the 5 and then 6, 1, 3.
Oh.
And then the 5. So you're going from the 5 to the 5 with the
The 6 and the middle. And what's your picking? Where's your picking?
So
it starts with the up. Yeah.
then sweep down,
Yeah.
and then up.
That's the key. Is starting with the up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So then, when I find something that I like, what I try to do is carry it through all the chord tones, like transpose it up a tone, but scale tones.
Scale tones, yeah.
So
Chord
this would become this, then would become, then would go.
Oh, nice.
So you got the 5 chord here, the 4 major 7, because it's all diatonic. You do it diatonic. It sits really nicely, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you go. Yeah. It's like you can base a lot of stuff around that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's.
And so then I tried to make it rather than just do separate one after the other diatonically like this. I tried to tie them together, and that's where it gets tricky. So I go. It's just fun to do, really. But it practices like sweep picking and precision and patience
a new way of looking at scale tones, because you could have just but now you can see it this way. And what was it?
Yeah. Then it would be.
Similar to that, if I'm in, like, say it's G major, like I'll do the I do that one picking.
Oh wow!
Yeah. It's kind of each one is. I don't have quite the formula worked out.
So the first 3 are always that, but then you adapt the other one to where you are.
Yeah, I take this one pentatonically, so you have to think E minor pentatonic. And no, now the next one actually is this.
Oh, yeah.
chromatic shape, like. Is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, yours is a.
But that sounds more musical because it's modified, you know. Like there's sometimes you're going pentatonic, sometimes you put the minor third in, sometimes there's more fourth C. It follows this really like it's more like a musical phrase than a etude.
Yeah, but you're gonna get probably more like mileage technique wise out of yours, like that. Like if you can get that.
Yeah, it's really a technique, a picking thing.
Yeah. This one's more guerrilla. Yeah. Oh wow. We could go on and on. So
well, thank
cool.
you, Brad. I'm really touched that you accepted to come. It really
This is just episode.
makes me really happy.
Episode 1. Brad and Jordan.
Episode 1.
Have me back, please, man. I feel like we tip of the iceberg. We could.
J&B.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I'm so glad that I got the chance to sit down with Brad Barr. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And it was really cool to notice all these different ways that we're similar in how we play and how we approach the guitar, even though our styles in terms of the music that we've recorded is quite different. I'm really grateful that Brad stopped by. Thanks for listening, and keep in touch, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.